All right, folks, welcome back. Happy Thursday. The devastating fires in California are exposing the absolute worst aspects of our nation, particularly in the leadership department, as neither Joe Biden nor Gavin Newsom seem to care a damn about the irreversible impact that these fires are having on innocent American families in California. Gavin Newsom has been hailed as a 2028 presidential hopeful by the Democrats across the nation, yet he's proven on multiple occasions. Remember French Laundry when he shut down the state and was caught having the most expensive dinner in the whole entire world at the French Laundry restaurant in California? He shut down the rest of the state, but on multiple occasions. He was elected to serve, and he is doing little to serve right now. Listen to how the governor, he's the CEO of the state, top dog. The buck should stop there. The governor arrogantly responded when Anderson Cooper, no less, asked him about the fire hydrants in his state of California running dry.
In Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's got to be determined by the local.
You know, all he had to do is say, we're going to work on it, we're going to fix this. Instead, he's like, oh, not my problem, the local folks. He is such an easy guy to dislike a lot. The fire hydrants ran out of water. And as he stands in front of burning houses, people's livelihoods and lives going up in smoke, he somehow found the nerve to say, the local folks have to figure that out. He's the freaking CEO of it's like the boss of the state. You figure it out, Gavin. I wonder if his tone would change if it was his house that was up in flames behind him. Would he simply figure it out later, or would he ask for help? The local folks are trying to figure it out as they speak, how to salvage what's left of their lives. People are losing everything. They're losing their freaking pets, their beloved pets. I don't know about you, but my little Ari is like my daughter. I love that. It's horrendous what's happening in California. Yet Gavin Newsom simply doesn't think his job it's not his job to even give a shit. I got plenty more to discuss, so always, let's react. Well, unfortunately for America, California isn't the only place that has completely screwed things up when selecting their leadership. Let's go to Bogalusa, Louisiana, and check in on the youngest elected mayor in the country right now, the 26-year-old Democrat, Tyron Truong. Listen.
Bonded out, the youngest mayor in state history, making headlines for the wrong reasons today, as Tyron Truong now finds himself at the center of a criminal investigation. The 26-year-old mayor spent the day in jail facing charges of solicitation of prostitution, drug trafficking, and gun charges. And new tonight, the district attorney says Truong is just part of a larger puzzle working to defraud the city.
Just got to ask, why is it always a Democrat? I don't know. First of all, what the hell is a 26-year-old doing as mayor in the first place? Not to discriminate against age or anything, but really 26 years old? You're only 5 years past being allowed to drink a beer. This guy used state funds, state of Louisiana funds, for prostitution. He took part in a drug trafficking ring from his office and had ties to illegal firearms distribution. Who the hell is vetting these people? Who votes for this guy? How does no one see signs of this behavior before voting this guy in and giving him access to the state's money? I want to go back to California for just a minute because something very interesting is going on in Hollywood. Yesterday, we told you about how big-name celebrities were basically being paid to support Kamala Harris, Oprah, Beyonce, Reverend Al, Gaffigan, the comedian even. They were told to keep their mouths shut for her obvious flaws. Well, the election's over, and suddenly we're hearing plenty of complaints about Democrat leadership. Actress Sarah Foster in Hollywood absolutely obliterated Gavin Newsom and the LA mayor, Karen Bass, when she tweeted, and I'm quoting, We pay the highest taxes here in California. Our fire hydrants are empty. Our vegetation was overgrown, brush not cleared. Our reservoirs were emptied by our governor because tribal leaders wanted to save fish. Our fire department budget was cut by our mayor. But thank God, drug addicts are getting their drug kits. This actress, again, Hollywood actress, went on to actually tag Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, directly telling them both to resign because their, quote, far-left policies have ruined our state of California and also our party. She's a Democrat. We've seen several notable post-election trends continue here in 2025. The migration away from DEI and the collapse of the mainstream media, the legacy media on their ass, on their heels. I think it all the celebrities that were paid for silence, hopefully they'll ultimately open up and crush the people who made them stay quiet. They might have to give the money back, though, so they may probably not. Hopefully, this is just the start of a long overdue expose movement. Speaking of the mainstream media, CNN doing everything they can to stay relevant. They've tried everything from shaking up the roster, their lineup, to actually covering relevant headlines and news. Listen to Harry Enton absolutely torch. Harry Enton's the guy over at CNN. Torch Joe Biden for saying he could have beat Trump if Joe Biden stayed in the presidential race in 2024. Listen.
But it's not just that Trump was ahead. He was ahead by a lot in these key battleground states. Again, when Biden dropped out of the race, let's take a look at the polls in the Great Lakes. What do we got? 3, 4, 5-point leads in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania for Trump. A lot of red on this side of the screen as well. Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, and Arizona. Those key Sunbelt battleground states, 5, 6, and 6-point leads. My goodness gracious. Of course, this is just 1 point in time. I know that's what Joe Biden would like to argue. So let's look at the entire 2024 campaign. Days Biden led Trump in 2024 when Biden was still in the race. Get this, 0, nada, no days was Biden ahead of Donald Trump. We'll look at when Biden was still in the race. What would have happened if Biden had stayed in the race? Is there any record of candidate as unpopular as Joe Biden winning? Look, Biden's net approval rating on election day, minus 19 points. Look at this. 0 of 6 incumbents reelected with a negative net approval rating. The bottom line is this. Joe Biden was behind. He had always been behind, and he most likely would have stayed behind. And that's why I categorize his statement that he could have won the 2024 election as flat out bonkers.
So I get something to say about this. You know, number one, good on Harry Enton for finally showing the numbers that we were absolutely sure were wrong before the election. My problem is he's doing it now. Before the election, that guy would have probably been fired for saying exactly what he said right there. They're all, you know, keyboard warriors in the aftermath. But leading up to the election, if anyone stood up on the left at CNN or MSNBC or New York Times or Washington Post and said what Harry Enton said right there with the numbers, if he said that, they would have been tossed out the door. Don't you know? Keep your freaking mouth shut. We got to get this old man elected again. We can't stand 4 more years of Trump. We'll do anything. Whatever. Numbers don't lie, folks. Numbers don't lie. Joe, you weren't even close. And your buddies over at CNN, well, they're finally telling the truth. Easy for them to do that now. Of course, it's far too late for CNN ever to be credible again. But it's at least nice, I guess, to see, like, at least see someone admit it, even if it's in the aftermath. Would have been nice before. Trump won by a lot. Trump won for different reasons. One of those key reasons, deciding factors, was his no BS stance on the southern border. Joe Biden probably doesn't know north from south at this point, and drunken Kamala Harris proved that she wouldn't be bothered by our southern border, our open borders, during her time as the borders are. But Trump is well aware that he has to deliver on his campaign promise to re-secure the border, continue what he started. Secure the border. This nation is asking you, this nation voted you to build that freaking wall and have Mexico and Canada pay for it.
Number one, we're closing the border. It's going to be closed very strongly, and it's going to be closed. And we're going to have to take people out that are criminals. We have people from jails from all over the world and from mental institutions. And as you know, they're going to have to be removed. And it's one of the reasons I won the election in a landslide. The people of this country don't want murderers walking down their farms or their streets or their cities.
Yep, I believe him. I wholeheartedly expect sweeping border security to be a day one task. I don't think people understand how fast Donald Trump works. The man hasn't blinked since he won the election. He's been planning his political return for the past 4 years and 100 million % knows exactly how he's going to handle locking down our nation. Every single day, Trump is doing something or putting something in place. We just have to hold out for another 10 and a half days. So I got a text this morning from my good friend Bob Unanue, who is the founding family and chairman CEO of Goya, and he said, Bolling, can you help me get this to the president? And it was an offer by Goya and Bob Unanue. They have a huge manufacturing plant in Houston, Texas, and he said, I can pump 1 million gallons of water a day. I can pump 1 million gallons of water a day if you can help me get it to L.A. Whether it happens or not, I mean, everyone's trying to weigh in and help, but that's how Bob, he would stop his production of food, of his food mega conglomerate, to help the people of Los Angeles who probably would never even buy a can of his Goya beans because of his right lean, let's call it that. Good man, Unanue. Anyway, in 2021, Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children and educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of the short film Press Pause by Goya Cares. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce. Set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family, the film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign, promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer. The film encourages open family communications about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help. Through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness, Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. Okay, folks, time for today's Truth Bomb. All right, Truth Bomb is always truth uncensored, Truth Bomb time, and this one is simple. We thankfully, we re-elected one of the most truthful men in our country, someone who never hides from the truth and has no problem exposing it. Let's flash back to 2018, about 6.5 years ago. That's just about 7 years ago, if you can believe it. Trump tweeted a very direct warning on Twitter about California and how their miserable environmental laws were not only enabling massive fires, but making small fires much worse once the flames began. And the risk of spreading into a wildfire was great. Of course, he was mocked and critiqued, yet here we are. I'm going to tell you, Trump caught it. He knew it. Gavin Newsom is an absolute disaster. Just think about Gavin Newsom being the president of the United States of America for 1 second, if he's got such a crap handle on what's going on in California. Truth Bomb. Los Angeles burns. The Los Angeles mayor is on vacation in Africa. The Los Angeles Fire Department chief is a DEI fanatic. The Biden administration stopped doing controlled burns. The fire hydrants don't have any water. Welcome to Democrat supermajority rule in the state of California. Let's get into it, folks. Did you know that the Los Angeles Fire Department will have the very first electric fire truck? Isn't that great? Isn't that amazing? That's right. In May of 2022, the city of Los Angeles announced the arrival of its first electric fire engine, the Rosenbauer RTX, which entered service at the LA Fire Department Station 82 in Hollywood. Ain't that great? Did you also know that Kristen M. Crowley is the first woman and lesbian to become the Los Angeles Fire Department chief? That's right. Then Mayor Eric Garcetti launched a DEI bureau. part of a 3-year plan committing the Los Angeles Fire Department to DEI hiring. No more meritocracy for our city's lifesavers, for the first responders. Again, I'll leave this to you. What do you want if you're having a heart attack? Do you want someone who has the right color to fill a quota? Or do you want someone who's most equipped to save your freaking life? That's what you want. That's what you want the most able, equipped, experienced, educated person to save your freaking life, not the one that was hired because we have to have more blacks or Asians or whatever. Isn't that great? Listen to this.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that.
Oh, and did you also know that Gavin Newsom conducted the largest dam removal in U.S. history to save fish? Ain't that great, too?
Largest dam removal project in U.S. history and one of the most significant, if not the most significant, water restoration project, bringing back salmon and steelhead into this basin. This project could not have happened without extraordinary partnerships with tribal nations.
You know what I reckon? That those who believe in the real world and real things, they don't have their heads stuck in their clouds of self-righteous BS, don't really care about any of those things. And you know who cares the very least? Those who've just lost every single thing they ever had because of raging wildfires, all because their state and the Democrats who run it, and it is a Democrat-run state, folks, up and down the state house. They have zero interest, these people, these Democrats who are running California, have zero interest in actually protecting its own citizens. They're all about self-serving agendas. They're all about socialism, DEI. Those are the things that matter most to the Democrats, and frankly, all Democrats. Let it burn to the ground as long as a lesbian holds a position never held by a lesbian before. Look at how lucky we are. Is she the most qualified? I don't know, maybe, but boy, was it all about lesbianism for that reporter there, too, wasn't it? And our president, well, our wonderful president, is delivering gems in his final countdown. Last 10 and a half days. How much can you up now, Joe? Joe the Butcher, not Joe the Plumber, but Joe the Butcher decided to take a moment in the middle of a devastating fire for Californians to make a little announcement of his own. Listen to what Joe focused on.
I got this notification yesterday their home is about to burn down. Today, the parents are maybe still standing, I'm not sure. But the good news is, I'm a great-grandfather as of today. I have a granddaughter, baby girl, baby boy.
Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Well, which is it, Big Joe, old guy? Is it a boy or a girl, your great-grandchild? By the way, these people still can't tell the difference, right? Can't say what a woman is. Or they refuse to tell us anyway. But I'll tell you, our geriatric in chief stands there and in one single breath talks about how Californians, their houses are burning down, they're losing their livelihoods, their pets are burning up. But by the way, he's got some good news. And the good news is I've got a great-grandchild whose name I'll never, ever remember because I'm what was it again, Robert Herr, special counsel? I'm an elderly man with poor memory. Los Angeles is literally on fire. But to Joe Biden, the good news is that he's a great-grandfather. What an idiot. The bodies weren't even removed from the streets in New Orleans after that terrorist attack. It was essentially Joe's fault. And Biden was talking about finishing up a press conference quickly so he doesn't miss the big football game. You see the picture here? And like clockwork, he decides to announce more aid to Ukraine to the tune of $500 million more of your dollars. F you, America. Bend over and take it, California, North Carolina. Now listen, I'm not trying to make any light of what's happening in California. It's horrible. But this I can say with full certainty. The damage we see on those pictures, The burned down buildings, streets, homes, towns, schools, hospitals, everything these people have ever had is gone. I've never seen a more accurate metaphor for what's wrong with a Democrat-run anything. This is the America that Barack Obama started and Joe Biden finished building. And it's the California Gavin Newsom has destroyed in the meantime. And he won't ever take an ounce, not one iota of responsibility for what he's done. That's your problem, he says.
What is the situation with water? Obviously, in Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system.
Local folks are going to figure it all out, he says. That's all the Grim Reaper has to say about California. You look down the laundry list of the left's agenda. Literally every part of this preventable tragedy leads back to a Democrat policy. All of them. DEI, green agenda BS, misallocated resources due to socialist spending and increased deficits, all their fault. And despite all of that, despite the fact that California is so susceptible to wildfires, despite the fact that they knew how important forest management is, despite the fact that President Trump warned them not once but several times about that mismanagement in California. Listen again.
And you have all that water that could be used to, as water, what they call water flow, where the where the land would be damp. And you'd stop many of these horrible fires that are costing billions and billions of dollars. And all they have to do is clean their forest, meaning rake it up, get rid of the leaves, get rid of, leaves that are sitting there for 5 years. And
we'll certainly get rid of the dead fall.
And get rid of the trees that are falling.
Yeah.
That, are like.
Yeah, a couple times he talked about, I remember, I was like, why is he talking about this? But look, he was prescient, very prescient. That was just a few months ago, folks. Not to mention this little unknown story about how during Donald Trump's first term, he tried to increase water diversions on federal lands to help California's water supply. Trump tried to give California more water supply, diverting water rights from different areas. The state of California and various environmental groups sued the Trump administration, and they won. Once again, owning the orange man took priority over protecting people.
Billions of dollars every year. It's the same thing every year. And they don't want to clean up their forests because they have environmental problems in cleaning it up. It should be the opposite, because you're going to lose your forests. You're losing them. But it's costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars because of incompetence in California.
Yeah, and despite all that, and despite all common sense, actually, as fire rages through the Los Angeles area, their first inclination is to blame, you guessed it, climate change. Seriously, don't the baseless and scienceless claims get old at this point? Over and over and over again, scientists and climate experts say that's not all what it's about. And yet the left seems hell-bent on pushing these lies.
You would very much have these high-intensity fires that are burning in California if there were no global warming at all. And you could not have the fires even with global warmings. And I think that's important because I think there's a sense in which if you think the only way to stop the fires is by reducing climate change, then you are basically saying you're not going to be able to stop the fires. And that's disempowering and wrong. And we need to solve these problems. But nonetheless, nobody likes all the smoke, and we shouldn't have to have it. It's just because of the fundamental reason is bad forest management.
Bad forest management. But it doesn't matter because there's actually no event or crisis the left doesn't like to blame on climate change. Blaming everything on climate change is actually their just code, their little code for we effed it all up and don't know what else to say. So climate change. Or he's a racist. That's the other one. They didn't fill the reservoirs. They cut $17 million from the fire budget. They sent supplies, their own supplies. Los Angeles County Fire Department sent supplies to Ukraine for fighting your own fires. Oh, my God. And by the way, $65 billion more to Ukraine from the Biden administration. Additionally, it's 250 or 230 or so right now. They fired firefighters for not getting the jab. Remember that? They didn't comply with the brush clearing. Trump told them to, too. They halted prescribed burns. They let stormwater wash out to sea. But yes, this all was caused by climate change. Nothing to do with that. How about Karen Bass, mayor, cut funding to the fire department? How about that? Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass made budget cuts to the fire department that Fire Chief Kristen Crowley told her a month ago would be catastrophic. Bass was asked about it yesterday, and here's what she had to say.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them.
So you got Newsom, who runs the state as governor, who has could be $100 billion of damage happening. He's like, we'll let the locals figure it out. You have the mayor, Karen Bass, very Democrat, by the way, not even able to respond to reporters' questions as her city burns to the ground. And by the way, a lot of the reasons this happened is coming to some of the decisions that she made. That, by the way, went on for nearly 2 more minutes. And of course, not even the character to apologize. Of course, she was stunned into silence when someone asks her if she regrets cutting the Los Angeles Fire Department budget by nearly $20 million, and then being absent as her citizens' homes burned down on top of it. But wait, there's more. Or should I say it like this? But wait, there's more. Karen Bass reallocated that funding from the LA Fire Department and put it towards, wait for it, new immigrant family services for those who recently arrived to Los Angeles. New immigrant services. Services such as housing. Also interesting how immigrants get housing in a state with a homelessness crisis that Gavin Newsom promised to fix years ago, but never did. And then there's this. Because it wouldn't be a list of Democrat policies without one of their favorite policies, that is DEI. Oh, yes, they live and breathe that crap. Well, the Water Department head said this. Los Angeles City County, confirms hiring of Janice Quinones to head the Department of Water and Power at a salary of $750,000, according to ABC7 in Los Angeles. Janice Quinones is the new head of the Los Angeles Department of Power and Water. $750,000. The fire hydrants were empty. She was recommended to the position by Mayor Karen Bass back in May. This Janice Quinones makes $750,000 a year, nearly twice as much as her male predecessor. So they brought someone in, and then they doubled the salary, and then they left the freaking fire hydrants empty. And just months later, LA is out of water for fighting fires. People are dying, losing everything. 50, 60, $70 billion in damage so far, could go up even higher, might be the most catastrophic event in American history, because Democrats are the down with democracy, down with meritocracy party. They don't want meritocracy. Well, guess what, Dems? Meritocracy kept the water towers full and kept water flowing. So it turns out DEI is a misspelling. DEI should be spelled D-I-E. Certainly in Los Angeles and other places. And listen to this. This is unbelievable. Adam Carolla, friend, fellow podcaster out west, telling a story about he couldn't become a firefighter in Los Angeles because he was just too damn white.
Geez, I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps, and I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see you in about 7 years.
The story goes on. When he actually did get the call to take the exam, a black woman he met there told him she applied just days earlier and was called right away, called in immediately. How about that for white privilege, huh? The leftist machine's coordinated trope right now is, how dare you MAGAs try to exploit this climate change-driven catastrophe for political gain, trying to drive a wedge between Californians and their brave governor, their extraordinary Los Angeles mayor, and their high-skilled lesbian fire chief. Well, this is a time to come together, and all you can do is play politics, they say to us, who calling them out for their failures. That's rich coming from a party that chooses to come down on the Second Amendment, create some sort of laws as it embodies a single feeling, as bodies are still laying in streets from mass shootings. Don't fall for it. This is down to decades of failed and wholly misguided freshwater and forest management policies by California's elected Democrats. It's not Republicans. It's not MAGA. It's on them. This is down to firefighting budget cuts by a catatonic Los Angeles mayor. This is down to the Los Angeles Fire Department's near-exclusive focus on diversity over actual skill at putting out fires. She sent some of her assets to Ukraine. All of the above have caused and amplified a tragedy that 50 years ago could never have expanded beyond a few small brush fires. Everything that's happening right now in Los Angeles, now the foreseeable result of decades of control of California by rabid Democrats who choose insane policies that any rational person could have seen would result in what has happened in the last 2 days. Listen.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it.
Can't even respond to it. Can't even respond to it. Truth and accountability are never cruel and are always timely. And right now, Californians are tragically reaping the destruction that you sow, Democrats, that you sow, and voters that you sow when you elect Democrats into these positions of power. The whole effing place burns to the ground. All right, this is my favorite part of the show where we leave you with something. So I saw this morning, Jimmy Carter's funeral. By the way, how many funerals is this guy going to have, right? He died like 5 days ago. New funeral every day. No offense. Great humanitarian. One of the worst, second worst president in history after Joe Biden. So there's another funeral. I don't know, was it some sort of bromance brewing on Capitol Hill? Move over, Joe. What should we call it? Barump? Donama? If you can't see this, we're going to show you what it is. Whatever moniker we choose to give it, it certainly looks like today at the state funeral for President Jimmy Carter, the unlikeliest of friendships came to life between, if you're listening on radio, Donald Trump and Barack Obama. Guys, they're talking, they're chatting. A little smile on a couple of their faces. And I know for sure that Joe won't like this, but you know who else obviously really didn't like what she was seeing? Roll it. So we have the same shot now, the same funeral. And when Trump is talking to Barack Obama, I'm narrating for those people on radio, Kamala Harris kind of leans back and looks and checks out because she's in the front row. Trump and Obama are in the second row. She leans back and looks over the first beater husband of hers, or second beater husband of hers. She leans back and looks at Trump and Obama talking, and she's got this look on her face. She rolls her eyes like, holy shit, what's going on back there? Ooh, Kamala Harris really wasn't happy about the brewing bromance between number 44 and 45/47, as you can see right there, folks. But, so here's the question. Here's what we want to do. The burning hour. This is really important. What do you think Trump and Obama were talking about? What was that conversation? You want to add Kamala? I don't know. Comment down below the video and tell me what you think he said. Be creative, and I'll feature some of the best ones, some of your best takes on this show. All right, buddy. Bolling, out.